Welcome to the Happy Healthy Life Podcast with your hosts, Rob and Randy, who reveal the truth, the lies, and confusion about health so that you are no longer the victim to mainstream medical dogma and you are the hero to your own happy, healthy story.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Happy Healthy Life podcast with your host, Rob and
Randy.
And we are
the Happy Healthy
Guys. So welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Happy Healthy Life. This is our special edition. We're actually recording right now on a Labor Day evening. It is 7 p.m. in frigid Dallas-Fort Worth. And I say frigid because we're actually in the 80s right now. Almost felt like I needed to put on a jacket earlier today.
I do have on a jacket, but it wasn't for that reason.
It was. I was cold this morning when I was outside going for my walk and
85.
run. See, it's 85 degrees right now. It's cool this morning, so thank goodness. But today we are going to talk about one of the things that we were talking about in the last episode of the Happy Healthy Life is we're talking about different hormetic things that you can be able to do or different stresses that you can put the body under in order to be able to get a healthy response by the body. We were talking last time about intermittent fasting. We were talking about the benefits. We were also talking about the risks associated with that. The biggest risk associated with that was not having your body at a good, healthy metabolic baseline in doing intermittent fasting, because that ends up becoming, instead of intermittent fasting, it's really intermittent starving yourself to death and starving yourself of the nutrients that your body needs. And so if you didn't listen to that podcast, and you have any questions about intermittent fasting, definitely go back and listen to that podcast. Today, we're continuing the trend of hormetic stress. We're talking about the different thermal technologies that are out there right now when it comes to hormetic stress. The biggest one right now is going to be cold plunging. And I know you've got some experience with cold plunging. Do you want to tell the audience about your experience that you had with cold plunging and when you
in the swimming pool?
Yeah, when you first did it, because it's pretty funny.
This is a great example of how doing a hormetic stress like cold plunging can actually hurt you and have the opposite effect. And if anybody knows me, and I know you know me very well, I am extreme. And I'm all in or I'm all out. I struggle with any gray areas in my life. So if I'm going to do I committed to do a 21-day cold plunge challenge. And I don't remember who was were you in the group that we were doing, or who was in that challenge group? Was it just me, myself, and I?
Was not in that group.
Was everybody in the quad going streaking? And then I look back and I was the only one.
Yeah, I was not following.
I think that was, I was the only one doing it. So anyway, I whatever reason, and I don't remember why, I'm committed to this 21-day cold plunge challenge. And this was probably, I think this was cold plunging before cold plunging was cool, probably like 8 years ago. And it was the winter time. And of course, my pool was very, very cold. And it was the perfect way to do a cold plunge. You just walk outside my bedroom and jump into the pool right in the middle of January. The water was so cold. I want to say the temperature was like in the 40s, like 45-ish. Which, if you've ever been in cold water, it's way colder than you even think to be that cold of a temperature. I mean, it's miserable. So anyway, I commit to it. So I started, and I don't even, a lot of times if you're going to cold plunge, if you've never done it, you want to just go in for maybe like 15, 20, 30 seconds and then get out. And then the next day, maybe go a little bit longer and see how you do. Of course, you know me, I'm extreme. So I start off, it's 5 minutes right out of the gate. So I jump in, and then within about a minute to a minute and a half, 2 minutes, your body's adapting, and I'm in the groove and I'm able to make it, and I'm doing great. I do my 5 minutes, I jump out. And then I had, at that time in my home, I had an infrared sauna. So that I would crank that sauna up. And as soon as I would come out of the cold plunge, I'd run back into my bedroom and I would jump right into the sauna and do obviously more hormetic stress, which was obviously heating my body up. I would keep it about 152 degrees in my infrared sauna. So this goes on for about 7, 8, 9, 10 days. And I start really struggle to sleep, and I'm sleeping horribly. I mean, I'm literally like sleep deprived. And then as I'm waking up in the mornings, I'm having horrible anxiety. And obviously That's not good. You're not sleeping good. And now you're waking up with anxiety. And so I finished up my 21-day challenge. And what I figured out was, number one, the stress in my mind of getting into that cold water was creating so much anxiety that I was not sleeping. I was miserable. And then the physiological component, I'm doing so much so quickly. And then obviously backing that up with an hour of infrared sauna, I was doing too much and all the anxiety was killing me. So I was actually making myself worse. I wasn't adapting. And so I took a break from cold plunging for quite some time. I don't know that I've really committed back to it again, but that's an example of doing too extreme, doing too much, and then raising your cortisol, which was stressing me out, giving me anxiety. I wasn't sleeping. So just because you see somebody on Instagram doing cold plunging and they have six-pack abs, remember, that's not how they got those abs, and you never know what you're seeing on Instagram. So I can tell you this, listen to your body because it will tell you exactly how you're doing. And one of the biggest signs that you don't adapt to any type of hormetic stress, this controlled short-term stress, is when your body is, you're not sleeping well. If you start waking up, you can't go back to sleep, you're getting anxiety, that is a huge, huge sign you're not adapting to the stress that you're under.
Now, here's the good news. When done correctly,
is there, so you can do it correctly so you don't end up in anxiety? Please guide me.
Yeah, exactly. So when done correctly, though, there are health benefits to it, and there's scientific health benefits to it. One of those being just your cardiovascular health, just because it does with what it does with vasoconstriction, vasodilation, which is your body's circulation. It helps to also reduce inflammation, which is why if you ever watch, everybody already knows this, people have been cold plunging for forever. Just go into any NFL locker room after a football game or any college locker room after a football game, and guess what they're all doing? They're all sitting in an ice bath. Yep. So everybody already knew that that was helpful for reducing inflammation, but didn't really know how it really helped with a lot of other functions in the body. So it's always been there, but it does enhance recovery. So it helps your body to be able to recover faster when you put your body into extreme stresses. Like if you just got through playing a 45-minute football game and you've been banged up, you've been hit, all the things, it helps you to be able to vasoconstrict in order to be able to help with your blood flow, to be able to get your body getting the blood to where it needs to go in order to be able to heal what it is you've been doing. But unless you've been playing football for the last 45 minutes and going through that kind of stress, it may not be the best thing for you in order to be able to reduce pain and inflammation.
I was not getting banged up playing football, and I was extreme on all ends of it. But another huge benefit to cold plunging, and this is where I use it a lot more sparingly now versus being so extreme, and listening to my body and how I'm feeling and how I'm adapting. And obviously there's ways to even check how you're adapting through HRV, but is you'll actually stimulate and activate the brown adipose tissue. If you've ever heard of BAT cells, brown adipose tissue, this is thermogenic fat in your body. And if you don't know thermogenesis, this is an internal heat where your body will actually upregulate, uncouple, and burn more calories. It basically puts your mitochondria into hyper mode. And you can also even recruit what's called beige fat or white fat and turn it into brown fat, which is very thermogenically active. Remember, muscle burns calories, but so does fat, and your brown adipose tissue burns the most amount of fat and has the most thermogenic potential and capability. So you can really build more brown fat by doing cold plunging, once again, when you're adapting correctly.
Yeah, exactly. So it really, it matters how it is that you're doing. So the research is out there that it does help a lot of different things. There's even research out there that says that it helps with longevity as well, just like we talked about with the intermittent fasting, which is why our program includes putting a lot of these different things together in order to be able to get your body's metabolism working the way it's supposed to. So if we're going to take a look at, okay, what's a better way to go about doing this? And even somebody just put there in the chat, the research says that just turning on cold water at the end of a hot shower is enough to shock the body, which is what I do, and you're exactly right about that. So that's one of the things that you can do to be able to get your body started, just to be able to get what you're really looking for is a hormetic stress. In other words, that's something that your body is not used to, okay? It's something that your body's not comfortable with. So when you put stress like that onto the body and it's not comfortable with it, your body's going to respond to that, not in a negative way. It's going to respond to it in a healthy way to be able to heal of whatever that stress is. So if you just turn the water on the cold, and that's how I started doing it, is I would start
Much better strategy.
Yeah, much better strategy is turning the water down onto cold, not all the way down, but I would start like one day I'd go down a little bit and I would stay there for 30 seconds to a minute. Then the next day it was a minute to 2 minutes. The next day I made it a little bit colder and a little bit colder and a little bit colder until it was all the way down, and I could be able to do that for 2 minutes. So what you're really looking for is you're looking for getting your body under that stress to where the temperature is about 50 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. 50 to 60 degrees is enough to be able to get that hormetic stress, and doing that for up to 2 to 3 minutes is what it is that you're looking for. You don't necessarily need to shock your body into it. By starting that way, you can ease your body into doing it that way. And this is also something that you don't necessarily need to do every single day either. I think in order to be able to make sure that you're keeping consistent with it, it's not a bad idea to continue doing that, because I know the way my mind thinks is that I'm like, all right, yeah, a little is good, but
more is better.
More is better. And I want to make sure that I'm doing it every day, because my thinking is, you know what, if I did it 3 days ago, I don't want to do it again today. But if I knew I did it yesterday, I'll do it again today. That's just the way my mind thinks about things. I'm the same way with working out. So I would much rather than putting a rest day in between working out, just with my mindset is I need to continue with that consistently every single day, working a different body part. So I'll still be in the gym every single day, but I'm working out a different body part versus taking an entire day off, because I know if I take an entire day off, it's going to be a lot harder to get me back into going to the gym after that day off. So
it was kind of like if you remember the story about Jack LaLanne, right? Remember that? Because that just reminded me of that, because that's a great point. Just that consistency of every day, whatever it is. For me, I always do some type of air squats every single day, no matter what. But Jack LaLanne, if you don't know who Jack LaLanne is, chiropractor, was one of the first guys on TV doing all the nutrition, the fitness shows. In his older age, had the juicer, lived to be 100, and he was doing backflips into his 80s. And people were like, Jack, how are you able to do backflips in your 80s? And he was like, I did one yesterday.
Exactly.
Well, and then I did one the day before that. And then I did one the day before that. When's the day I can no longer do one? So I love what you said there. That's great for rhythm and consistency there. Another tip too on the cold plunging, and if you're not looking to time it or not sure how long to go, really the shock is good. You're really looking for the shiver. That way, where your body, your muscle starts to contract. How smart is your body? It's trying to warm you up. If you know what I'm talking about, when you're cold and your body starts to shiver, the muscles are contracting, that lets you know you've gone long enough. And now you're in that stressful state where your body's now going to get the benefits of using your own intelligence to warm your body back up, which is really, really cool. I could have done a way better job with my cold plunging if I'd have waited for my shiver to warm me back up first and then gone into the infrared sauna applying the heat, as I was losing a lot of the benefit of the shiver that you get when you drop into the cold.
Yeah, absolutely. Even our friend Benazati was talking to us about that. So he's got a condition called Raynaud's. So when he tried to go in there and go super cold, his body, it was not a good stress for him. So he had to ease into it every day, where we'd make it colder and colder every single day. So everybody's going to be different, which is why even with our Happy Healthy for Life program, where we take people through a program for healthy longevity, we're monitoring whether it's a good stress or not, whether it's causing too much damage to the body or whether they're getting a benefit, which is why that's so important. But that's why we also monitor it. We've got testing that we do for that. Super important that you do that. So on the other side of that, or the flip side of that, the other thermal therapy that we would talk about would be like heat. Okay. So like infrared saunas, for example. So getting your core body temperature up, going into a sauna that's 120 to 140 degrees. It's a good thing for your body. A lot of people are scared of their body getting too hot. They've heard that I'm going to have a heat stroke. I might die. Or, if my fever goes up too high. But the reality is that fevers are good things, okay?
I paid a lot of money to get one in Spain.
Yeah, talk about that.
I did. Yeah. If you've ever heard of hyperthermia, it's essentially a technique, I believe it was born out of Germany, where they're heating you up. It's basically an artificially induced fever because at high temperature, there's a lot of great things that happen internally with how your body will detox and heal. And like, foreign invaders or toxins or pollutants or hydrocarbons or other types of things that could be making you sick, chemicals, the list goes on and on, plastics, glyphosate, your body can now bind those up and move those out because these antitoxins build up in your body and start driving that out of your tissue. So heat is phenomenal. So that's why fevers are so important. One of the worst things you could ever do. And I know because I never got to run a fever as a child because, the second I had one, my sweet mother was told, hey, you got to bring that fever down. And because, it could cause brain damage, which, by the way, there isn't any research to support that data. An external heat out of control could, potentially injure the brain, but not an internal heat where your body's regulating its own temperature. If you leave your newborn baby in the back of your car with the windows rolled up here in Texas in August for 8 hours,
not a good idea.
That's going to cause brain damage. That's like sticking your child in the oven. But that's not the same thing as an internal fever where your body's regulating that and doing the right thing. But yeah, that was one of the techniques I used in Spain 14 years ago to overcome late stage cancer was hyperthermia or an artificially induced fever. Heat is very powerful.
Heat is very powerful. In fact, none of my 3 kids have ever taken any kind of medication to reduce a fever. In their case, if their temperature was high, it was like, all right, praise the Lord. Their body's doing exactly what it needs to do in order to be able to heat up because of all the different chemical processes that are happening in the body that God created in order for them to fight whatever it is that was going on inside their body. So my kids don't even know what a fever even means, right? So they've never asked me once, hey, Dad, am I running a fever right now when they get hot? It doesn't compute with them. It's just a normal part of how the body works, which is a really beautiful thing. So that's why it's just a normal body, a normal function of how the body should be working, which is why you can put your body into a hormetic stress where you put your body into an infrared sauna, get your core body temperature up so that your body is detoxing. Your body is doing whatever it needs to do in order to be able to fight off whatever kind of things that are going on inside your body, which is just the stresses of living on planet Earth. It's called life, so it's helpful for that. And so once again, you got to make sure that you can also, like we were talking about with the cryotherapy or the cold, is you also want to be able to monitor that to be able to see, is this getting good benefits for me versus not allowing my body to work the way it's supposed to. And that right there is, and by the way, if you didn't already know, when it comes to either cryotherapy or heat therapy, there are no standardizations for that stuff. Right? There's nothing that says that this is how long you're supposed to be in there. This is what works for everybody. There's no standardization. And so that's what's dangerous right now, especially when we go to all of these different biohacking events, for example, where you're like, people are just like, you're just getting that cold plunge, like you said, is, you know what? If a little is good, then a lot is better. So they're going to try to sit in that thing for 5 minutes, and they're actually causing more harm than good to their body. So you want to make sure that you're monitoring it. You want to make sure it's a good hormetic stress for your body, and you really are getting the benefits out of it. I'm a big fan of, you know what? I want to get the biggest bang for my buck. So what is it that's going to give me the very best outcome in the shortest amount of time possible? The one thing that I do not have a plethora of is time on my hands. I don't know a whole lot of people who do. So I want to make sure that, you know what can I do that's going to be fast, quick, and in a hurry and give me the best benefits at this point in my life for a healthier longevity.
I love that too, because time is critical. Who's just got so much time you don't know what to do with it all? I don't think any of us do. So I've really been committed to. I really have enjoyed. I use the infrared sauna very frequently. If you've never done that, I encourage you to do that. There's so many benefits to doing that. I probably do it at least 4 to 5 days a week. Anywhere from 20, 30, maybe 35 minutes, depending on how my body's feeling, how I'm adapting. And there's really cool because when you're in an infrared sauna, you can build up what are called heat shock proteins. And these heat shock proteins really help upregulate your metabolic profile. You're going to build out more mitochondria, which are obviously the respiration centers, the energy bacteria centers of our bodies, which are phenomenal. It's all about mitochondrial health. As you guys know, we're metabolism experts. That's what we preach all day long. And it's a huge benefit if you got access to one of those and want to make that investment, because there's really a lot of benefit there. Plus, there's just not a better way to detox. So this is why sweating is so important. Your skin is one of the areas where you're going to get rid of toxins. That's why you want to get outside, get sun on your body, get out there, sweat. This is also why using antiperspirants under your arms to stop sweating. Heck, there's some people that inject Botox into their armpits to close off the pores so they won't sweat. Guys, you're literally leaving all the chemical toxins that your body's trying to get rid of. It's laying there in their axillary region with all the lymphatic chains right into your breasts. No wonder breast cancer is worse. One of the many, many reasons why. So you obviously don't want to ever stop the sweating. The sweating is powerful. And what you really find out as you really begin to live the happy, healthy life, and you stop eliminating a lot of the toxic foods and stop taking medication all the time and getting off all these prescription drugs that have had you crippled your whole life and getting outside and sweating, what you'll notice is your armpits don't stink. How cool is that? If your armpits stink, you are toxic and your body's trying to get rid of all of that. So it's very rare that I ever have to use any deodorant. And I used to have to slather it on all the time.
I'm good.
Yeah. Hey, I'm great. Now, listen, you go drink a bottle of California wine loaded with glyphosate, you're going to stink the next day. I can guarantee you that. That's why, shameless plug, drink Italian wine. But the point is, detoxing is huge. It's a huge part of how our bodies stay healthy. And so I love that piece of the infrared sauna, but I'm really proud of me because instead of only doing an hour or nothing, now I do like 20, 25, maybe 30 minutes. I'll do what I know my body can adapt to, and I'm more consistent with that than thinking I've got to commit an hour every single day, and I'm not going to do it.
Totally. That's my favorite thing as well. As even no matter what it is that I'm doing for my health, is even walking into the gym, for example, is going, you know what, I'm not going to be here for the next 2 or 3 hours. I'm in there 20, 30 minutes max. Had more gains lately than I've ever had in my entire life without being in there forever.
Yeah, it doesn't take much.
No, it doesn't take much at all. I think we learned that as well as just as chiropractors, even adjusting somebody. How long does it take to give a great chiropractic adjustment, right?
If you're taking more than a minute, you're wasting their time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So that's really what we want to talk about is we had requests for people to let us, that were asking us about, okay, what's the thing with cryotherapy, with heat therapy, infrared sauna? And so we wanted to let you guys know what our thoughts are on that. We'll continue to keep on giving you our thoughts on everything that's out there right now. So continue to keep on asking us your questions, letting us know your thoughts. Also, let us know your wins. We love hearing about your wins. I know we posted a bunch to our Instagram recently of all the wins that people are having with.
We don't talk about these enough.
I know. Yeah. And so just with the Happy Healthy metabolism program, just utilizing SCT oil, we love seeing all those. So you guys continue to keep on sending those to us. It reminds us of how important it is doing what it is that we do and the impact that we have on people's lives, which I think sometimes we can tend to take for granted. And so thank you for doing that and sharing with us.
Yeah, I was listening to one of our mentors today, and I don't know if you listened to him on his podcast today, but he was talking about, he asked, people always ask him, why would you start a business? And most people are going to say it's to make money. He says, no, you're 100% wrong. You don't start a business to make money. You start a business to solve people's problems and bring value to their life. The money will always be there, but if you're not solving problems and not bringing value to people, you're never going to have money to begin with. And so I really loved that answer because I love the company that we've been so blessed to have and get to work on and grow. And it's been such a blessing because I really feel like we really are solving a real issue and a real problem that we're facing right now. And it's not getting any better. And there's more drugs and more misinformation out there. More people are hurting. And I'm really excited about where we're going with Happy Healthy, our entire community, our entire team, obviously Coach Justine, who's on here with us. We just have an incredible group of people who are really bought in, who want to make the difference. And I really believe we're bringing a lot of value and we're helping solve a real metabolic problem. Just look around, guys. It's heartbreaking. I was watching, I got into this as we're finishing up here. I was watching the original Jaws over the Labor Day weekend.
Okay.
And I remember I wouldn't even get in a swimming pool as a kid. Who raise your hand if you wouldn't get in the deep end of a swimming pool because you thought a shark could still get you? That's how powerful. Yeah, I was like, seriously, what if there's a trap door, they let the shark out and it comes and it gets me? Wouldn't even get in a pool, much less in the ocean. I think the beaches were closing down all over the world when that movie came out. 1975, I was born in 74, so clearly didn't watch this movie when it first came out. But all the beach scenes in Jaws in 1975, dude, all these people were skinny. There weren't a bunch of obese, sick-looking people. So all over the beach, this was 1975. If you did Jaws right now in 2000, almost 2025, what would that beach look like? It's not going to look good. It is a real problem, but there are real answers, as we know. So,
yeah. So thank you guys so much for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. Submit any questions that you have for our next podcast, what it is that you want to hear us talk about. We're always going to make sure that we give you the most current, latest, up-to-date information. And if you're curious to know what's going on with your metabolism, always go to metabolismscore.com. Take the quiz there, see how your metabolism is doing. You can also reach us at thehappyhealthylife.com as well, or hit us up on Instagram at the H2Life. And we're always here for you. So you guys have a great day. Thank you for listening. Like it, share it, comment, give us a 5-star review.
5-star review. We need them, guys. Let's get this message out. We appreciate you. God bless you.
Thanks for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. If you enjoy the show, make sure to follow them on Instagram at the H2Life or on YouTube and Facebook at the Happy Healthy Guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts.